Hey, welcome back to Maintainer's Garage and Bags. I started my car the other day and ended up getting some ABS failure and traction control failure notifications on my dashboard. It's called the Driver Information Center. And so this is a video about showing you how to find those codes on your dashboard and then decoding them. So first thing we'll show you is how you get to the codes and where you can read them out on the dashboard. All right, so I couldn't figure out how to flip the camera around, so I had to stop it and start it. And so what happens is the first thing you do is you want to put the key in the ignition and turn the ignition on. Don't start it. And what's going to happen is as you can see, my service ABS and service active handling have come up. And that's the driver information center. And what you can do is over here on these buttons, using these buttons, you can engage the code reading function. So first thing you do is you press and hold options, and while holding options you press fuel 4 times in a 10 seconds. So you press and hold options and then you press fuel 4 times. So press and hold options, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it ends up in this code display mode. And what it does is they'll go through all this, and you don't have to worry about writing them down this instant because you can come back and manually go through all that. And that's what I'm going to wait on. As soon as it's done, you don't have to wait, you can interrupt it, but it makes it easier for the video just to do it that way. So if you press options, it will go forward, trip will go backwards. So if you have no codes, if you hit gauges, nothing comes up. But when you go forward, so it's TCS, so that's 1214. The C is for current. So that's current code in there, and that's the only one there. So now that you've gotten your codes, and again, mine was a 1214, 0521, 2282, 2283, 2284, 2285, 1064. So if you have a factory service manual, you can look these codes up. If you don't, there's a lot of great internet websites. Corvette Forums, one of them, LS1 Tech is another one. If you just put like C5 and then that code in there, it'll come up. And it'll even show you how to pull the codes like I did. And so I looked up these codes, and the main one I'm concerned with is the active handling one, which is a solenoid valve relay coil circuit open. So, but what's interesting is these other ones are like tach signal circuit, window, not good signal from the battery. So that made me go, is there some sort of connector problem, maybe a ground problem? Now, little backstory, again, I've had C5 Corvettes for almost 10 years now. I know the factory ground points are suspect sometimes. They get corroded, they get loose, the freaking stud will just break off. So, and even in the service manual, it tells you to look at ground locations. So, to start off with, I'm going to look at my ground points, and I'm going to take them apart, clean them, and put them back together. And I'm just going to do, there's 3 in the engine bay that you can get to fairly easy. I mean, I'll probably have to take the battery out, but that's still not, earth-shattering. And I'll just take those apart and clean those. And if not, there's an electronic body control module, ECBM. That's where the ABS and the active handling code is coming from. That is a known weak point, much like my stupid HVAC thing. Just a bad relay, bad solder. So, anyway, as you can see, I've got a camera set up behind me. I got another little one I'm shooting with, so I'll be able to make sure I show you the good these ground locations and how we clean them. So let's get over there and start doing some work. So, like I said, the ground points of the C5 are known weak spots, and that ECBM is a known weak spot. I've got my little camera, I got a flashlight. First I'm going to go around and show you the grounds that I'm talking about using this little camera. so you can see them, and then I'm going to start taking them apart and cleaning them. Again, internet car forums are incredible. Corvette forums specifically is CorvetteForums.com is really amazing. The amount of information that's out there. There's people that have been driving and racing Corvettes for a long time that have worked with Corvette engineering. And when the C5 first really got developed and started coming out and running like SCCA autocross and time trials and things like that. So there is a plethora of information. If you don't have a factory service manual, if you don't have an automotive background, if you don't have a troubleshooting background, if you don't have a just mechanical background, if you just have desire, I want to do this, I want to try to learn this, it's frustrating and it's going to be a pain in the butt, and sometimes you take six steps backwards to take one forward. But if you've got some perseverance and some drive, man, I'm telling you, the factory service manual plus Corvette forum, you can do anything. I mean, and I mean that. You can change the motor. I changed the clutch. I rebuilt my differential. I mean, all in the garage. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to start here with this one, and I'm going to try to make sure I can get it good on the camera here. Is down there, right there. I don't know. There it is. So if you follow the negative ground cable, it goes right there. Another one is just, and this is all on the passenger side, is if you can see that black module with the metal tab and the post right there, that's another one. On the driver's side, there's another one almost exactly parallel to that, of that post and module. And there is another one up under the brake master cylinder that I just haven't seen. So, alright, so I'm going to start with this one. For lack of a better term, it seems like the hardest one to get to. So I got to pull the battery out, probably pull the battery tray out, and we'll do that. So a little after after I started working, my brain started working. I meant to tell you that you pull the negative cable first off the battery, then the positive, and then it's an 8mm fastener. So for the terminal lugs on the battery. Now, I've got the battery out, and I was getting ready to just pull this out, but again, it's a situation of I want to help. I'm doing this for myself too, but part of the reason I'm doing this is I want to help people. I want to show people. So the battery mount is this tray right here. Inside this is 1, 2, 3, 4 fasteners that hold that tray in. And you know, I'm not going to pull the DSLR off that thing, and besides, if I scratch it, my wife will kill me. That's another story. But so yeah, so there's that, and I'll make sure this gets there, and I'll try to do some fancy editing and whatnot where I highlight red and green and yellow and all that stuff. So, and just to make sure I'm really helpful, let's find out what size fastener these are. But it's a 13, just like the battery. Hold down. Ah, come on. 13mm on the battery tray, just like the battery held down. Oh man, I slay me. All right, so now the battery tray comes out. Nice little composite plastic piece. Never pulled that out before. Okay, so, all right. Right on. I mean, the ground looks good, and there's nothing I see on it, but I'm still going to take it apart, and I'm still going to clean it. Again, Good grounds are never a bad thing. You know, for you electronic types, y'all understand exactly what I mean. And it's just one of those deals where you, you know, just doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt a freaking thing. That looks like a 10, but I can't get a, yeah. And gear wrenches, whoever frick makes them, the ratcheting wrench, man, you, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar. So let me get the right size for this. I don't see, there's 3 grounds here specifically. I don't see any corrosion on any of them. But again, I'm here. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to clean that one, put it back together, clean that one. Why? Because a lot of people have this problem. Maybe it's not my problem. Maybe it ends up being the ECBM. But I'm doing this first. Why? All this cost me is time, no money. So, and again, cleaning my ground points, never a bad thing. So, your favorite brand of electronic / contact cleaner, jam up. Again, there ain't nothing down there. It's not green. What am I doing? Let me get this camera and I'll show you. None of these look bad. There we go, not too much light. And the factory ground pole stud doesn't look bad. But I'm here. I've gone through this. Why not go through a little more? Just, you know, I may save myself a problem in the future. So, you know, young guys, gals, young people, folks, us old heads understand. When you tear into something, you don't want to have to go back in there again in 6 months to do something you should have done in the first place. And I'm not talking about spending $1,000. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just like, while I'm in this hole, I'm gonna look around. If there's anything that looks abnormal, I may or may not tell you all about. But like, again, just cleaning these ground points. They look clean, but I've gone through the energy. It's gonna take 5 minutes. It'll take longer because I'm filming and all that BS, but still do it. Your car and you will thank yourself at a later date. Believe you me, Mr. and Mrs. and questionable, or unicorns of questionable origin. And again, all these look good. There wasn't nothing down here that made me think there was a problem. Doesn't mean there isn't a problem here. I just couldn't see it. And now, actually, and again, I've been doing this for 20 years. I do it in my garage for myself. I don't, you know, I'm not a mechanic. I don't get paid for it, but I've got dielectric grease over there. I was getting ready to put this back together without slapping a little dielectric grease on it. Why? Dielectric grease, great corrosion preventative and inhibitor and electrical conductive. So why not? And this is a less is more situation. It's just a little bit on the ground location itself, on the very base of it, a little bit on each ground lug, and wipe it off your fingers so you don't get it all over the freaking place, and reassemble. And I know it's like, man, what a lot of effort. Well, again, I want my car to continue to last me as long as possible. I drive the dog snot out of it, and I want to keep running it. I mean, it takes care of me. I try to take care of it. It's a two-way street, right? And that's just what it is. That's what it is. And there it is. I was going to say, I know I didn't hide that from myself. Try to keep stuff easily seen. So I've got the battery back in. I have not electrically connected it. I've just attached it to the car. this is an important deal. I know it sounds obvious. Make sure your battery is tight. I mean, if it starts moving around while you're driving, nightmare. So again, mine slides a little bit left to right. So we'll just snug it up just a little bit. Like I said, we're going to leave it electrically disconnected, so when we're messing with there's grounds, we're not going to create a problem somewhere else. So now I've got this one to get after. When you take this apart, it may look okay. There's a piece of black plastic around it. You remove that, and that's when you'll see the terminals and this whole little metal grounding. And that's where sometimes corrosion can be. So I'm not just going to take it off and look at it. I'm going to take it apart. And yet again, that one's tight. So we'll try to save myself. Can't always save yourself from yourself, but you can always try. And I'm going to have to remember that. Oh man, I'm so scared to snap this thing right off, but it didn't. Whew. All right. And again, same thing here. I'm just going to take this apart. This did not have one of these terminal connections where it's got multiple wires going in it. That one had 3 ground lugs that all just went on the ground post. So there we go, got both. All right. So this is what you're trying to pull out. And I mean, hopefully this thing won't go full cuckoo on me. I'm going to step back and look. Focus. Focus. There we go. So as you can see, there's not a lot of like corrosion, like electronics corrosion, which would be green. Again, I'm going to clean it. I'm here. Might not be my problem, but it is a common problem. Hindsight being 2020, I didn't need to take this off, but and when I look down in here, I don't see any corrosion. So, hey, we're just doing our best here. We'll slap some dielectric grease in there. Again, not because there's a problem. Hopefully to not have any future problems. This can only go into this housing one way. So don't be, well, if you're strong enough, it'll go either way. But if you're gentle enough, it'll only go one way. You know, I've been the moron with a giant hammer, square peg, round hole. So again, try to learn from somebody else's mistakes. I'm happy to keep making them for you, so you don't have to. All right. Oh, I need dielectric grease on these things and the post. Okay, put a little dab on the post. Put a little dab on that terminal or the lug. Put some on this lug. Make sure we wipe all that in and put it back together. And again, your goal is to not gorilla tighten this down to the point that the poor little stud just snaps. And when you start tightening this, if you notice the ground's moving, put your hand down there and hold them. You know. All right. Don't forget to tighten that back down. And again, that's kind of why sometimes I do not pass go. I do not collect $200. I don't move forward, and it's like, all right, if it's a huge job, I get it. But for me, I'll forget. And I'll be like, why is my car rattling all of a sudden when it wasn't rattling before? All right, YouTube. So I goofed up again. I had apparently my memory card was full, and I only got about a minute or two of me doing that last grounding point. Well, I took it apart, I cleaned it, and just like I did the previous one, I took that little terminal block apart, cleaned it. There was no corrosion anywhere. But, like I said, I took it apart, cleaned it up, put dielectric grease on it, and put it back together. Sorry I goofed it up again, and I know my video's long, but hopefully it's being helpful to somebody, and maybe even entertaining to a few others. But yeah, so we're going to jump into the final thing here of checking to see if all this ground cleaning worked. And so let's go do that now. All right, so we're going to start up and see if we get these electrical problems. And they're still there. My module may just be AFU. But we're going to see about, we're going to try to reset them and see what happens. All right. So, yeah, I know. So again, it's options and fuel 4 times. All right. There we go. And we're going to see. Well, oh, no, we got rid of those codes. Didn't get rid of those either. All right. It's still there. So, all right. Well, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you know, hey, it is what it is. I'll make a video of me delving into this even more. I'll stop there.